we have put as a standard operating procedures of hazardous chemicals in the name of University of Hyderabad. This is available in our School of Chemistry website. If you go to School of Chemistry website, at the bottom you can see the safety regulations. If you click on this thing, you'll this place, and then you will get this slide where you can see the disposal procedure, general guidelines, and how to dispose the chemical, all these things. But disposal of the chemical may not be applicable to you at present when you are in the first year in the teaching lab. So the staff will take care, but general guidelines are applicable to everyone. Okay. So coming to the exactly the our topic today, the accident, whether in chemistry lab or in road, generally happen very minimum of one based on the unsafe condition. Just because of roads are not good or laboratory facilities are not good, this kind of reason contribute only 15% of accident happen in the lab. Majority of time, around 80% is internationally available statistics, and it shows that almost around 80% of the accident happens in the chemistry laboratory because of the personal failure. The person who is handling the chemicals, who is working in the lab, they fail to adhere the safety guidelines. That's why the accident happened. This is the statistics. So the practicing safety is a empirical discipline. It's not that anything. Let us say you think about cricket. If you want to get experience, you have your own experience and learn, right? But this lab safety or road safety, accident, all these things, you cannot learn from your own experience. You have to learn from others' experience, others' mistake only. That's important. That's sort of different. Anything, the cricket or any game or science or learning, teaching, everything, you learn from others' experience. But the safety and all, you cannot learn, you have to, sorry, other things you learn from your own experience. Safety, you learn from others' experience, not from your experience. Somebody want to experience how the accident had happened. After accident, you may not survive to see you or understand your experience. Okay, it's not to threaten you, just you have to feel for that one. So we have various types of chemicals are available we use in this chemistry laboratory. There may be toxic substance and flammable substance, explosive substance, corrosive, solvent, irritant, carcinogen, many things. So many things I have listed here. Apart from that, there are something called sensitive chemical. There, like we will be using some of those things, but not in your first year laboratory. They may be sensitive for heat and friction or impact, something like that. Like chemicals in the Diwali cracker, something like that, right? So these are all the things we will be using in your career sometime, somewhere. So you should be aware of the property of these chemicals, and we will not able to describe everything one by one for all the chemicals today, but today is general guidelines here. So the approach to the safety comes from the four principles. Okay, first thing that you have to recognize the hazard and assess the risk of hazard. These 2 points. So basically, what it means that no, if you are using the chemical, you should know there is the hazard because of the chemical, and what extent. Is not that sodium chloride is also a chemical. I'm going to use sodium chloride. I have to put up the gloves and goggles, everything for sodium chloride. Not necessary, because sodium chloride is a table salt, right? So that is what the assess the risk of the hazard. But if you are using the hydrochloric acid, you have to be very careful on that one. So recognize and assess the risk of this thing. And third point is that minimize the risk of hazards. So if you know this is going to be hazardous, and then how you are going to minimize this thing. But eventually, even after making everything, and if you still have some problem, right, there may be accident. So then in that case, prepare for emergency. How are you going to deal with this thing? This is what I am going to discuss. So this can be said as RAM: recognize, access, minimize, and prepare for the eventuality. For the first two topics, I'll be just telling based on your behavior in our laboratory. And other topic will be specific instruction for pertaining to your course, the first year lab. And basically this general, in case, accident happen, how we are going to behave in the laboratory. What do you have to do that one? Okay. So First thing is that no, we have to wear simple clothing, right? So labs are not for fancy dresses. So following these kind of models or icons of the country, for fancy dresses, outside lab is perfect. That's your personal wish. But when you are coming to lab, we are not imposing dress code because of we want to impose some code, but we are telling that one we have to follow this dress code just because of your safety, not for the just imposing the code. Okay, don't come to lab whenever you have to come to lab. Okay, with this kind of dresses. Okay, second thing is that it's not only safety. You may spoil your dress, you will be wasting money out of that also. That's also there. Second thing is that the hairstyle. Hairstyle are also very important. I will not again tell you that no, you have to trim the hair, all these things, not only for girls, for boys also. You can see how Mahendra Singh Dhoni changed his hairstyle from this way to this way to shoot for this situation, right? So what happened if you have fancy hairstyle, whether boys or girls, if you don't tie your hair properly, the hair will be part of your experiment, right? It may be chances that it will fall or touch some chemical that will be disastrous to person who is having this problem or who is not following this thing. So I'm telling you, we are not telling to cut your hair or style change all these things. But when you come to lab, you tie it properly in such a way. Once again you come to lab, you have to keep all the bags outside of the lab, but there are some racks created in our laboratory in the CAS building, and hope you can use that thing whenever coming to lab. Okay, you cannot bring all the bags inside the lab and create trouble. So this is just before entering the lab. Keep the mobile inside, water bottles or snacks boxes, everything far away from your work area. Basically, I hope none of you have seen our CAS building. We have long corridor, 8 feet width of corridor. Both sides of the corridor we have labs. So in that corridor you can keep the bags. There are some racks created for you. Okay, so that is the thing. And apart from that, you have to have the safety goggles and gloves and protective apron. So ABC, because this ABC table is internationally accepted safety precautions or safety instruction. Depending on the chemicals, all the chemicals will be graded with A, B, C, something like that. Depending on the what letter given on the chemical, we have to use these protective wears when we are using those chemicals. But for your laboratory level, first year laboratory, only A, B, C are applicable because this is available in the internet. I just show you. You can try to understand many things from this thing. Similarly, lot of other gradings are GH, all these things for oxidizing agent, reaction with water, where you have to use boots also sometimes. So many informations are available in the data sheets. Okay, but you don't worry for all those things. Right now, only ABC is applicable to you guys. Okay, I'm telling you about wear the safety glass, overcoats and shoes when you are coming to lab. It's a must. So normally, you have little, advantage of the situation that you don't need to buy immediately. But you should remember that when you are coming to lab, you have to come like this thing. You see this girl, she is one of our PhD students, and then with thanks to her, we have taken many of the photographs from her, and this is the proper way of coming to lab. Okay, you can see that how she has tied her hair also properly before coming to lab, right? So if you have contact lens, please avoid wearing contact lens when you are coming to lab, because the vapors will go inside the gap between the eye and contact lens, and that will create trouble. Okay, the gloves are necessary, but some of the chemicals for the first year MSc level, majority of chemicals what we are choosing to give experiment are not toxic. You don't need to worry too much about the wearing gloves, but you should try to wear that one wherever instructed to you are. Okay, so try to buy one pair of shoes and lab coat before coming to lab. Safety glass will be provided to you guys, and along with the glasses, when semester is over, you have to return them also. So the lab coats, many lab coats will be there. You have to wear this thing very properly this way only, right? Not this way or this way, something like that. Not putting inside or just opening like a doctor's, medical doctors, something like that. Okay, so you cannot follow these icons in the wearing coats, right? So they are the cinema actors or cricketers. They can have all style outside of the lab. You can follow them anywhere outside of the lab, not inside the lab. Okay. You have again when we tell about the safety goggles, what the many students is practically we have seen that they wear the glass like this thing. Okay, on top of the head or top of the back side of the head, all these things. So this is all style. Okay, you can follow them outside of the lab, but when you are coming to lab, you have to wear properly in this way, safety glass. Right? This is not for style when you are coming to lab. And another thing that no party inside lab, even if it is a chocolate or a biscuit or any snack you are bringing to this thing, you are welcome to bring it, but keep it outside of the lab. Not, no eating inside lab, because you will be touching some part of the lab and some chemical will be there. As I said that the chemicals given to you may not be really toxic, but at the same time, no, there are other chemicals are stored in the lab. So unawareingly, you will be touching those chemicals and then you will be trying to eat that one and any snacks. So the chemicals will go inside your body. Okay, so no eating inside lab. Another thing that don't taste the chemicals, right? So you would have studied in your school days that you will have the different taste. Acid means like imli like taste, and base means like masala like taste, right? Something like that. So don't taste any chemical, even in the form of cigarette also. Don't smoke. It's not good for anybody and for you also, right? So no tasting of the chemicals in any form. Okay, so if something is mentioned that the chemical tastes like that, that was accidentally discovered, right? It's not that somebody deliberately touch and taste the chemical. Another thing that smelling of the chemical, there will be many instructions, there will be pungent smell or something like that mentioned. And as I told you just before, that the chemicals selected for your laboratory course are not dangerous, but you have to have the practice that you should not touch or smell the chemical directly to your nose. Okay, whenever some vapors are coming, you can just try to blow the vapors, or with the hand you can try to keep the test tube away from you and try to push the vapors towards you slightly, and you can feel the smell whenever instructed, unless you don't do that one. Okay, so only when there are safe chemical we will be giving instruction to you how to or you have to smell it, something like that. Okay, but never directly to your nose. Another thing is that this is not the place for kneeling and sitting, right? So don't behave like a kids in your lab, right? You are all grown up now, at least 17 plus age now. Okay, when you are coming to lab, you should not sit on the floor or sit on the table in the laboratory. So it's a very dangerous. Another thing that is this is not place for running and fighting or horseplay or whatever it is, right? So sometimes what happened, you get excited, you got the result, you run from one place to other place in the lab, one corner to other corner, and you completed the work, and then you are just in play mood and you are jolly playing with the other classmates. Don't do this thing inside the lab, right? So you might have completed or you may be free, but no, it will be dangerous to everywhere. Everyone sitting in the lab, working in the lab. Okay, it's not, laboratory is not a playground. No running, no fighting, no horseplay, whatever it is, no games. Not even a mobile games. Okay. And this is not the place to sleep or express your feelings, all these things. Okay, so chatting and sleeping in lab supposed to be avoided completely. If you are really tired or you are sick, don't come to lab. Take the after coming to lab, if you feel that you are very uneasy, take the permission from the laboratory instructor, and you can go back to either hostel or your home, wherever it is, and then take a nap there, not inside the lab. Okay, that's a very important thing. So these are all the thing. No, it's not that as if that I am going to start the lab tomorrow. I am giving instruction, but these instructions are applicable throughout your career. And another big problem what we are noticing from the student is that they keep all those chemicals, dropper, vials, test tube, everything inside the packet as if that they are keeping, purse or your mobile phone. Okay, when you are moving from one part of the lab to other part or one room to other room, as I mentioned, there are two labs are available, two rooms for balance are kept. You have to carry the chemical or glassware from one place to other place. So never put them inside the packet of even for your coat. Right? Sometimes you may forget the chemical inside the packet. You may go to hostel room. You may go to your home, and then it will be very dangerous. And before you start your experiment in our laboratory, you have to clean up your place. Just starting before starting experiment. Also, after you complete your experiment, you should clean up the place. You don't leave like this thing when you complete. But this picture, what I'm showing, is not for your laboratory, but general practice that you should not leave it like this one. But you have to clean up, wash your all glassware before leaving to from the lab, and clean up your workplace. Okay, that's important. These are all about the behavior things. Another worst behavior what we have seen is that something is broken, or you use tissue paper, or you use something, throw it, or you spit it into the sink available in the lab. So that is not good one. So what happens? These things will go and block the drainage of the laboratory sinks, and then water will not go, and water will be spilling everywhere in the laboratory. So it is very, very dangerous. So you will be instructed. There will be very many, containers kept in the lab. You have to really throw in that places as instructed when you are come to the lab. Okay. So this is about the behavior things what I have mentioned. Now let me go to the specific instruction pertaining to your laboratory courses. So we have something called fume hood. This is called fume hood. You can see the spelling here. So there are some experiments we have to do inside the fume hood. There are some experiment water-based chemicals or water-soluble chemicals, like sodium chloride titration, something like that. You can do outside of this fume hood. That will be instructed to you. And the fume hood is the one where, in case of accident, the accident will be confined inside the fume hood, all direction except the direction facing to you. Okay, so the direction facing to you, you have strong glass window, right? So you can see the cursor. You have the strong glass window here. So it is like a glass in the windshield in the car, right? Even in case of accident, it will break into small pieces like a powder. It will not have a big pieces throwing to your body. So it will not happen like that. It will be kind of breaking into small pieces, but protect you from that one. So just because you are instructed to use the fume hood, don't put your hand or your entire body inside the fume hood, right? So the left side picture, you can see that this same girl, right? So she has, as I told, that she has posed for us, right, for our photography. So you see that here she is trying to go inside to do the experiment. In the right side picture, she has closed the fume hood. It's called shutter. Okay, shutter of the fume hood to the level where she can do experiment without any disturbance. You see that she is looking into the fume hood through the window, a glass window. Only her hands are going inside the fume hood. In fact, we do have, this is relatively older fume hood. We do have new fume hood. where you can even glass also move. So it will be completely closed. Only for 1 feet you can open and just put the hands inside the FIMUR. That kind of FIMURs are installed recently some of the places. But now you have to practice both the kind of FIMURs when you are using. Okay. So another thing you will be using every day is that you will be washing the chemicals. You will be washing the glassware. So this is called a sink. It's not like a wash basin in your toilet. It's a sink is slightly deep inside. You have to keep all those things inside the sink properly and take one by one wash it and make sure that your hand, especially the sleeves of the coat, is not touching the water. Right, that will be very dangerous. And only cleaning liquid required for cleaning should be kept near thing. Other things should be away from this place. Okay, by mistake, if you have somebody kept it like that, you also supposed to move out from nearby. Right, and another problem, you will be handling this burette and separating funnel, or you'll be a notebook, all these things. Don't keep in such a way that they are extending outside of the table. You can see the picture clearly, top picture, burette is extending outside of the table, the tip of the separating funnel is outside of the table. Whereas in the bottom picture, you see that everything kept in such a way that they just go inside the table. The bottom picture is the right way of keeping the glasswares in the laboratory, and the top picture is wrong way of keeping this thing, right? So you have to understand that how you have to keep this material while handling them. So no broken glassware. If you see that glasswares are broken, never use that. You'll be you can talk to lab staff. There are lab staffs will be available when you are coming to lab. The lab staffs will be distributing the glasswares. You can talk to them and exchange those glasswares and don't use this thing. Okay. And similarly, you will be using ovens, not for the qualitative analysis lab. Next semester, quantitative analysis lab will be there. So you will be using oven with the hot condition, 120 degrees Celsius normally kept. So you cannot directly put the chemical inside the oven with your bare hands. You have to use gloves, which is shown in the picture like this thing. It is all made up of the some polymers or asbestos sheets. So which will withstand the high temperature. Even for 300 degrees Celsius, it can withstand if it is asbestos. So you have to use those gloves. It will be little inconvenient when you are using this thing. So you have to use that. By practice, it will be okay. And whenever you are instructed to wash and keep it in the oven, always make sure that you should not close this conical flask or this standard flask with the stopper. Even burette or separating funnel, all these things, you should remove these stoppers or plungers before keeping this one. In the closed condition, if you keep it, they will be choking the mouth of this glassware. So it will be very difficult to remove from that one. Right? So again, as I told that this is something called tripping hazard. Make sure that there is no wire or bags. This is, it may not be happening in your lab, but if you keep bags, for example, in case of accident, you have to run out from the lab. So that will be tripping you, right? So that is the thing. As I told that, no, you make sure that your gloves are properly weared. The coats are properly weared. So in such a way that it is not hurting or hitting the glassware near to you. You are taking one chemical from here, whereas your coat is touching other chemical, and it will affect the coat. That is the one problem. Other thing that this chemical may fall down and creating a lot of accident in the laboratory, right? So you have to be very clear on that one, and safe handling of glasswares, right? So as I told that you have to use the gloves when you are taking hot chemicals from the oven or inside the oven or outside the oven, whatever it is. And do not evacuate the conical flask. This is called conical flask, right? So do not evacuate to complete dryness. This will be creating trouble. When you are using desiccator, previous slide, I think somewhere I showed you desiccator. I hope you have seen this thing. Yeah, I think somewhere it was there. Okay, Forgot to add this picture of desiccator. So desiccator, here it is, desiccator. So you see that you will be keeping chemical for drying purpose inside. So how to open is that the lid will be slide on that one, not the just pulling out from the top. It should be slide over the top of the desiccator. That's how you have to open this thing. And filling and carrying bottles, never fill the chemicals into the bottles or test tube to the neck. Okay, at least make sure that 10% less than the actual volume of this thing, except standard measuring glass. Standard measuring glass are one where we have to accurately measure this thing. There also the design is such a way that there will be a lot of space available for that one. So never fill any chemical to the test tube or any glassware in such a way that to the top of the vessel. Okay. So how to carry them? As I told that don't put them inside the packet. Okay. How to handle? Before that one, there is a way of fixing the burette stand in our laboratory. So you cannot. There are clamps here. Make sure that the clamp fixing to the stand in such a way that the clamp is the bottom, whereas this is the wrong way. You see that you should not fix like this way. You should be fixing this way only. Difference between these two pictures, this portion, watch this portion. This portion goes to the bottom here. Okay, this is how you have to fix it. And once you fix the burette in the clamp, and you have to make sure that you are touching the finger here. Also, next video picture slide it will be there. So when you are using the funnel, you should not hold the funnel at the bottom. Okay, funnel should be hold at the top or near to this place, right? So that is the proper way. Otherwise, it will be breaking somewhere in the stem of the funnel. Okay, that's the thing. So this is what this thing. So when you are holding the burette after clamping, you should see that your fingers are, at least two fingers are bottom of this is called plunger area. So two fingers are at least at the bottom of the plunger area. Okay, if you are a right-hander, so you hold the burette with the left hand and conical floss at the right hand. So if you are a left-hander, it should be reverse, right? So you should have control of the plunger where you are adding drop by drop, whereas the conical floss will be filled with your other hand. And you know about the meniscus, which meniscus you got to look at that one, right? So that I leave to you. You search it and find it out if you don't know that one. Okay, this is about the pipette. You will be using pipette in your lab, but never suck the chemicals through pipette directly using mouth. So there is something called pipette aspirator or small bulb, rubber bulb will be given to you. This is the best way, and rubber bulb will be given to you sometime if it is not available because this costly affair. You may not have sufficient thing in the lab. So, but you have to practice this thing. This is little difficult to use this thing, but you have to practice. Only some safe chemicals may allow you to use direct sucking. Otherwise, if you suck it, it will go to mouth. It will be dangerous to health. About holding if you happen to carry the chemical from one side to other side to weighing balance all these things, don't hold so many chemicals in your land like these two pictures. Chemicals or glassware, it should not be hold like this thing, and you have to have the proper containers. This is not available in our laboratory, but these kind of buckets and normal containers are available in our laboratory. So you can use those things to carry, not just like that in your hand. That's the thing. And if it is a big bottle of acid, make sure that one hand at the bottom, not the both hand at the sides of the bottle, because DCM density is around 1.6 something like, or 1.3, I forget. But definitely, if it is 2.5 liter of DCM, it will be around 4 kilo weight, right? If you are trying to hold that one in this way, it will be slide from your hand, it will fall down. If it is acid, even less than the 1 kilo also, their chance of sliding is more. So always have one hand at the bottom of the glassware and another hand at the neck of the bottle. This is how you have to carry from one place to other place. If it is small reagent bottle, this you will be doing very frequently in our laboratory. And here also you see that there is small difference in the picture. This middle picture, left side picture, you wash his finger or his or her, I don't know, but you see that four fingers are on the sides of the bottle, whereas in this picture one finger is at the bottom of the bottle. Okay, so that is how you have to hold this thing, right? So one finger at the bottom of this small glass, right? So that will hold it, so it will not slide from your hand. So this is very critical information I am giving to you. You will be using this reagent bottle every day, probably when you are working in the laboratory. Okay, so this is again may not be useful for qualitative analysis lab, but in the organic chemistry lab and other places you will be doing this thing next semester probably. So separating funnel is called, you have to use it. When you use them, you have to take and keep it upside down, hold the stopper with one hand and shake it properly, and again put back to this thing. Okay, if you have to shake one more time, again take out, hold it upside down, hold this stopper with your finger and then shake it. Right? You should not just like that shake it, and then stopper is flying out from the separating funnel. You should be very careful that one. So once you shake it and open, keep it upside down, open this plunger very slowly. So the pressure developed inside will be slowly released through this thing before you keep it. Otherwise, what will happen? That pressure will be hitting on that stopper, and it will be flying out from the our separate difference. We have to be very careful on that one. So your teachers will be informing you when you are doing that thing when coming to organic chemistry lab. And if you happen to heat it little bit with this kind of hot gun, of course, luckily we are not keeping hot gun for you guys. But it happens that no, you should not heat directly to the solvent at the flask. So you have to heat only on top. If it is stuck to open, you have to heat it, but heat it on top, not at the chemicals. And similarly, when you are using this kind of setup for distillation, something like that, so it will be tied using this kind of wire, right? So if you want to remove this thing, don't just pull it out with your showing your muscle power to the rubber tube. It will break and it will hurt you. Okay, if you are not able to remove slowly, you have to cut it and throw it using a knife. Okay, similarly, boiling, when you are boiling the glassware, this some solvent, you should not boil completely to dryness. You should add a little bit of something called pores, sorry, small bits of glass beads, something like that will be given, porcelain beads will be given to you. You have to keep one or two pieces inside, though it will initiate the boiling. Otherwise it will be dangerous, and it should be added before starting the experiment, not after heating it. Okay, never shake or mix when chemicals are in close or if it is close to your face. Right, that's very important information. Mantles you will not be using them for qualitative analysis lab, but you have to, whenever using that one, mantle is a heating element, and when you are using that one, make sure that no this thing is chemical is falling onto that one. Okay, electrical conducting vessel you will not be using, and anything if you are keeping in the refrigerator or oven, label them properly for two reasons. First reason is that it's dangerous unless you know what is that chemical. Next person who is going to take it, he will not be knowing that one what chemical, how to handle that one. So you have to label it. And specifically for your MSc or IMSc lab, what happened? You will be asked to give your glassware or test tube for samples. You will be giving samples, vessel to us. We will be giving some chemicals or salt to you for analysis. So you have to write your name and roll number onto that one, so that we know which chemical is given to you. Right? So otherwise there will be a lot of problem, confusion in the laboratory. And make sure that whenever you are heating, the vessels don't have any water touch, water droplet on surface. right? So if there are water droplet, if you insert into the oil bath, it will be splashing like this. In this you would have seen in the home kitchen also, right? So make sure that no water outside of this glass vase before putting into the heating mantle or oil bath for heating here. So never hurry up the reaction just because your lab mate or your friend has completed this thing. I also complete. I want to leave, or he or she may be completing 1 hour and she will be leaving from the lab initially, and another person, sir, my friend is going. I have to complete fast. So just hurry up, something like that. If you do that, you will not get proper result. Okay, so do systematically. Somebody may be faster, somebody may be slower. Doesn't matter anything. As long as you are getting proper result, that's important than whether you are doing 1 hour or half an hour or 1.5 hours. Your lab time is generally 3 hours. Okay. So make sure that all instructions are in such a way that you will be able to complete within 2 to 2.5 hours, unless you waste your time. Right? So if somebody completes half an hour, I will suspect them they have not done the experiment properly. Such as that, right? So that is the important thing. And as I told that, when this is distillation setup, you will be doing in third or fourth semester. So distillation setup, you never use to dry completely, distill out to the dryness. That's the important thing here. Okay, this instruction will be given to you when you are using this thing. So these are all the instruction what I have given, right? So you have identified this hazard and you have accessed the hazard. This chemical have this kind of problem. You have to do this thing, and we have discussed about the precaution what supposed to be taken when you are doing experiment in the laboratory. So in case even after all these things followed, assuming that it is all followed, if something happens, if something accident happens, how you are going to behave? First thing that don't be panic. Do not panic. So what happens? Sometimes something fire happen. Everybody shouting, sir, 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 fire happen, and running from one place to other place. Don't do that one. So just move on from that place. If it is a minor, try to control your fire yourself, and one of you try to control while other person goes to inform to lab staff or the faculty sitting there, and he asks for some other help. If it is a major fire, if you know this, you will not able to do control, you just come out from the place. First, safety is important rather than saving the lab and chemicals. If it is a minor, you can try to dose it. If it is a major, just leave from the place. That's an important instruction. But never be panic and shouting, running from one place to other place. Okay. And in case high irritation, this is very, very, very important. I will not name the person. 15-20 days back, one of the student involved in the accident, he got injured in such a way that glass pieces went into his eyes and accidentally, and he has undergone 3 surgeries so far in this last 1 month. Still, we are not sure whether he is getting in eyesight or not in that particular eye. So such a dangerous thing happened. Of course, I don't want to narrate what happened and all those things, but information only I'm giving you. But that kind of thing can happen just because you are running from one place to other place. Burette falls down from the table and one glass piece just jumps on your eye. Okay, so that is very, very dangerous. Not only burette glassware. So see, for example, isopropanol used in eye drops as a medicine. Methanol, 1 drop of the methanol goes to the eye, person may lose the eyesight also. You know the difference between the methanol, ethanol and isopropanol. Methanol, 1 drop will spoil your eyesight. Ethanol, people drink also, right? To some extent it is tolerable, right? And isopropanol used as a drops in eye for eye treatment, right? Only 1 carbon different, the organic chemistry, right? So, but chemicals have their own property. So 1 drop of methanol will spoil your eye. I'm repeatedly insisting that this is very, very important case. You have to wear safety glass when you are coming to lab. I'm not lying. You can, when you come to university, you can inquire in the university community what happened to that particular student last month, right? So far at least 1.5 lakhs university has spent, but what can we do? He has to undergo all sufferings. just because he did not follow the safety rule. He did not wear the safety glass that moment, right? So that is very, very dangerous here. So in case something happened, first thing that if it is a acid-based accident, minimum 15 minutes you have to wash first thing. In case of fall of chemical into eye, right? Wash with plenty of water, at least for 50 minutes continuously. If you know this is base like material, you have to even go for 30-35 minutes washing, right? And by the time one guy is doing that one, other person has to inform to the lab staff, faculty, and call the ambulance and go to the health center and get treatment properly for him by a medical doctor. That's very important thing here. And spill of the chemical onto clothes. Let us say safety is very important. As I said that here only the first slide that important of dress, right? The dress, if you have fancy dresses, this will touch the somewhere the glassware and some are the chemicals, some are the acids, and the acid, you know how much it can create trouble to human body, right? So in case some acid fall onto dress, just go to the nearest restroom, bathroom, remove your dress and ask for the help from the other person. Okay, so if you wear the continue to wear the same dress, it will be very dangerous. I know it will be very awkward to say that you remove the dress, but safety is more important than the awkwardness. Just run to the nearest bathroom. So luckily we have both the side of the lab. We have two toilets, so we can just go to the nearest one and get the help from your friend. That's the important thing here. And when you go, not just remove the dress, you have to wash it with plenty of water. You wash your body with plenty of water. That's it. But as I mentioned, for acid-based thing, minimum 15 minutes. If it is a base like chemical, you have to wash at least for 30 minutes. Obviously, next thing that no, you have to go to first aid box, and in case of burns, you have to go to first aid box. What with cold water, sometimes you may use ice water, and if it is a large area, you have to go to physician, means doctor, medical doctor. You have to go immediately to the health center and get proper treatment for any kind of accident. Okay, so I should have removed this slide, but we are supposed to have this thing. Unfortunately, frankly, accept this thing. We could not create this facility. This is for the this supposed to be inside the lab. In case I say told that you run to the nearest bathroom, instead of running to bathroom, it should be available inside the lab. And because the buildings are little old, we could not really create it. But within 10 feet, we have the bathroom, so you can run to the bathroom. So normally this will be inside the lab. Just pull it, and then it will be throwing water to your body. And similarly, there is something called eye wash here. You can see this wash basin. This you can touch at the bottom. It will be flashing the water to eye to wash your eyes for 30 minutes, something like that. But again, as I told that we don't have option, so you have to go to nearest thing. So this is how the eye wash will work. Just push it, and water will be flashing to your eyes, both the eyes. Okay. So this is available. We'll try our best to keep it at least sometime in our laboratory. Okay. So this is about the immediate reaction or action what you have to do in case of accident. In case of fire accident, you should know that there are varieties of class of fire extinguisher, class A, B, C, D, something like that. So I leave this slide. You can read it. Class A, for example, only for paper, wood, plastic. Class B for flammable chemicals, like this will be filled with the carbon dioxide or sodium bicarbonate. Okay, so this class D is for the electrical fire, and this is very dangerous fire like sodium metal burning, potassium metal burning, something like that. Okay, so these all will be available. Varieties of fire extinguishers are available near to the lab. So when you come to lab, you can see that one. You'll have there are some fire extinguisher which is mentioned ABC. That means that this can be used for all ABC type. And let us hope that you will not require to use during your stay in our laboratory. But in case something happen, you should be aware of this thing. We used to give training to the PhD students always. So this, if you look at this thing very carefully, you have two types of opening for these fire extinguishers. Right? So let us look at this first one, left side one. You see small ring kind of things are available, So that is one you have to pull it. Okay, so I'll come to that one little later, next slide probably. So you look at this right one, you see this is just a wheel. So open clockwise or anti-clockwise, to open and close this thing. So you have to open in such a way and then hold this thing, this funnel-like things are there, right? You should be holding it one hand and show it to the fire where it is there. So coming to the left one, right, the ring kind of thing, right? So you have to pull that one with your finger. Okay. So look at this thing. You see that it's like a clamp or a scissor, like this thing, right? It is like that one. But if you just push from this thing, the two hands, like this thing, it will not work. So you have to pull that ring out first, just for it will be just coming out within 2-3 seconds. Okay. So then only it will work. So you have to keep pressing like this thing as shown in this picture, and the other end should be shown to the fire. Okay, I'll show you the next slide, something called pass. So that means that pull the pin or open the circle, aim the extinguisher on the base of the fire. Okay, so it's not that you will be showing the top of the fire flame. So you have to show the base where the material is burning starting. That is where you have to show this thing. And squeeze the handle, right? Squeeze the handle means that clamp kind of thing, right? That's one. And sweep to discharge. So sweeping means that you should not show at only one place of the fire. You should be, showing different places of the origin of the fire, not on the flame, on the bottom of the flame, but you have to sweep in the various area. So this is the pass principle. Okay, so this is how you use the fire extinguisher if it is required. Let us hope that it is not required throughout your career. Okay, so in case of emergency, you have to aware of this thing, how to use this thing. So there are some small instruction I'm giving you for as a first aid. In case of acid burn, some drop of acid fall on your finger or hand or leg, wherever it is. So this is not applicable for eye. Okay, eyes are different, right? So in case of acid burn, we have to prepare 2% sodium bicarbonate solution. But remember that just because acid is fill onto that one, you have just take one more base. HCl is fall onto hand, you take the NaOH and neutralize it. No, that is not possible. Instead, that it will be highly violent reaction that will create more harm to the body than controlling this thing. So in case of acid burns, you have to use so mild base, that to 2% solution, slowly wash with that one. Okay, obviously in the alkali case, right, you have to use acetic acid slowly or 1% boric acid solution. Right? No ointment, just don't throw the ointment onto or don't throw organic solvent onto there. Wash with this kind of thing, then wash with plenty of water and then go to the doctor. Okay. In case of ingestion, something swallowed inside the mouth. So what you have to do, plenty of water, even to the extent that we can vomit out everything, right? Fill as much water to the stomach and vomit out the things and go to doctor. Okay. In case of bleeding, so cut from the glassware or anything from the laboratory, hold it very strongly with your other hand or to the help of your lab mate or friends. Stop the bleeding as much as possible. And if we can see some glass pieces there, you should not do that one. That will even hurt more. Okay. If we don't know what is happening, try to close it and as much as possible. And in case of poisonous, basically, as I mentioned, that you will not have any poisonous chemical in your MSc or this undergraduate laboratory. You no need to worry. But in case in somewhere if you happen to happen, you will see that they have discoloration of the lips or mouth or stomach cramp. These are symbol of that somebody has taken poison or somebody not voluntarily or unknowingly the poison enter into the body. Okay, so discoloration of lips, mouth, it will go to blue color, something like that, or violet color. So immediately cramp in the stomach. These are all the symbol for poison thing, right? So vomiting, sometimes you may have vomiting sensation because of the thing, and That also you have to take care, go to hospital. That's what important thing here. Inhalation, if there is happen to inhale some unwanted poisonous chemical, or not poisonous, just HCl fume in laboratory, you feel dizziness or you feel some uncomfort, go out of the lab, even go to out of the building, go to the fresh air, breathe heavily and strongly, and inhale good air properly. Okay, so that is how we have to come out from this thing. These are all the again only first aid thing. Okay, if it is small accident, this will happen many times. Okay, so if more than this thing, so with this first aid, somebody else has to call the doctor, somebody else has to anyway the lab staff and the faculty will be keep working in the lab and noticing everybody. And even in case somebody is not near to you, someone has to call the faculty, staff and doctor, and someone has to attend that particular student who is involved in the accident. That practice you should follow. Don't get panic always. Okay. So this is the end of the lecture. The lecture what I have given is that why did you listen this talk? You have to know the what will happen generally in the lab if you are not following the proper guidelines. So you have to promote awareness to yourself and your friends, your lab mates, your classmates, that you have to follow these guidelines, and you have to practice all the guidelines when you are coming to the lab. Okay, so this is what I want to convey to you all. Thank you for listening. Yeah, we are open for any discussion. So I'll stop my presentation. Yeah, I'm happy to see still around 53 students are joined and listening to me, hopefully. Okay. So any question, anything you want to ask, doubts, clarification? Anything, just come out and say something. Hmm. Nobody saying anything. At least say, sir, lecture was good or bad.